Revealed. Humbled by humiliation, this woman found strength as her CEO dad exposed a hidden truth. Emily Carter felt the weight of the diner's greasy air pressing against her. The clatter of plates and murmur of tired customers filled the bustling Maplewood diner where she worked as a waitress. A far cry from the lavish galas she once attended with her father, the tech CEO. She had traded the silk dresses for a worn apron, and the harsh fluorescent lights cut through her self-esteem like a knife. Just last week, with her heart set on starting her own business, she had been thrust into despair when she found out she was fired due to a corporate shakeup at her father's company. The stares from regulars her childhood friends felt like daggers, and the whispers wrapped around her like a thick fog of humiliation. "Emily, are you okay?" one customer asked, concern etched on her face. "I will be fine," Emily replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The truth was she was drowning. She had built dreams on the assumption that her father's success would give her wings to soar, not weight to drag her down. Now as she scrubbed tables, doubts piled up like dirty dishes. Would she ever escape the shadow of the expectations crafted by Robert Carter? That evening, as her father sat reading the newspaper in their sprawling home, a revelation struck Emily like a thunderbolt. "Dad, why didn't you ever tell me you grew up in poverty?" she demanded, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. Robert looked up sharply, the mask of the powerful CEO slipping for a moment. "It's not something to be proud of," he said, his tone defensive. "I need to understand. I thought you just had it handed to you, but you fought for what you have. Isn't that the whole point?" That night, heated debates bubbled up in the Carter home, igniting a flame of resentment Emily didn't know she had. Their discussions twisted around meritocracy and privilege, wrapping around the house like vines. As Robert defended the notion that hard work was what made one successful, Emily felt a chasm grow between them, one laced with frustration and unresolved pain. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Desperate to bridge their divide, Emily channeled her turmoil into action. She organized a community fundraiser, determined to unite her affluent neighborhood with those struggling to make ends meet. As she pounded flyers into the autumn air, the realization dawned that this was more than a fundraiser. It was a bridge toward understanding. Yet the pressure to meet her father's expectations soon cast a heavy shadow on her plans, leaving her feeling alone in a sea of faces. Finally, during a town hall meeting, the air buzzed with anticipation. Emily stood at the podium, trembling but unyielding. "We need to talk about privilege," she began, her heart racing. The crowd was silent, Robert's stoic face visible in the front row. "I can't ignore the gap between us anymore. We are all human, fighting our battles." The room filled with tension as she fought against the rising emotions. Would her father listen, or would he remain the man who once towered over her life with expectations in silence? As she locked eyes with her father, a brewing storm of conflict hovered in the air, an unspoken challenge. Could he let go of his resistance and meet her halfway? Desperate for connection, Emily took a step closer, pinning her hopes on the words that hung between them, bracing herself for an answer that could change everything. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, the weight of the moment heavy as she looked into her father's eyes. The silence in the room felt like a thick fog, and she could almost hear each breath being drawn and released, all eyes locked on her. "Dad," she said slowly, "this isn't just about you, it's about everyone. Everyone who feels like they're struggling and invisible." For a moment Robert's expression softened. Was that a flicker of understanding she saw? It vanished quickly, overshadowed by a wall of professional composure. The man who once held her hand as a child was back, firmly standing his ground. "I made tough choices for this family, Emily. Choices that made a difference," he replied. But there was an edge to his voice now, defensive and unyielding. A wave of frustration washed over her. "But at what cost? It feels like you're more interested in your achievements than connecting with people. What about us? What about the people who need help?" He shifted in his seat, crossing his arms, a familiar gesture she had seen countless times when he was set in his opinions. But this was different. This wasn't just a discussion on business ethics. This was a call to his humanity. Emily pushed on, her voice growing steadier. I want to do something real here. To change our community, she urged, desperation creeping into her tone. But I can't do it all alone. I need you to see these people. They're not just numbers or statistics. They have stories, lives. The whisper started again, this time from the audience. Some nodded in agreement while others murmured their disapproval. Emily was fighting a battle not just against her father, but against a system that valued profit over purpose. Listen to your daughter, Robert, someone called from the back. The voice was a stranger, but it sparked something in the crowd. Heads turned, faces reflecting the discomfort they all felt. Fine, Robert said after a long pause, suddenly standing. But if we're going to do this, it has to be done right. The business perspective matters. We'll lose all control if we don't strategize. A sigh of relief swept through Emily's body. Yes, but we can also bring in those who need a voice. We can invite them to share their stories, give them a platform. Her father's jaw clenched. She could see that he was grappling with everything she said. The gears in his mind were turning, each thought a battle against the other. An unexpected silence settled as Emily went silent, letting Robert wrestle with her proposal. Would he agree? Could they really turn this moment into something that mattered? The tension in the room was thick, a living entity as everyone held their breath. Then Robert looked directly at her. His expression inscrutable. Let us think it through. I'll give you a week to plan. With that, the storm that had raged inside Emily transformed into something steady, forging a path toward hope. Thank you, Dad. Emotion welled up, nearly choking her. But just as she was ready to smile, the door swung open with a loud creak. The whispering crowd turned, shocked faces looking toward the newcomer. Emily, you need to see this. It was Jenna, her closest friend from the diner, her voice trembling with urgency. What is it? Emily asked, confusion creeping in as dread filled her stomach. There's been an accident at the community center, it's bad. The words struck like lightning. A gasp echoed around the room, and Emily's heart sank. The hope from moments before dimming into fear as an icy realization settled in. Could this setback unravel everything she had just begun to build? Would this bring their plans crashing down, or could it ignite a new fire? Emily's mind raced. The battle for her community was not just beginning. It was now personal. What more could she do, and how far would she be willing to go? Emily's feet moved almost on instinct as she rushed past the stunned crowd, her heart hammering. The cold air hit her face like a shock of reality, pulling her from the manic energy inside the room. Jenna kept pace beside her, barely able to catch her breath. What happened? Emily asked, her voice rising with panic. I don't have all the details, but a roof collapsed during the renovation. There were people inside, Jenna replied, her wide eyes glistening with unshed tears. A surge of fear twisted in Emily's stomach. The community center wasn't just brick and mortar to her. It symbolized everything she wanted to change. It meant a place for families, a safe haven, and a site for the voices that needed to be heard. When they reached the center, chaos engulfed her. Emergency vehicles lined the street, their flashing lights casting an eerie glow over the faces of community members gathered outside. The scent of smoke lingered in the air, mingling with something more bitter, an unsettling sense of urgency. What's going on? Is anyone trapped? Emily called out to a nearby firefighter, her heart racing as she tried to find any glimmer of hope. They're extracting people now. We hope to have them out soon. Please step back. He responded briskly, his focus unwavering. Emily felt numb. Could the community she had fought for be suffering in that very moment? Memories flooded her mind, children laughing in the play area, neighbors sharing stories, the old man who always tended the garden outside. How could this be happening? Jenna softly squeezed Emily's hand, grounding her in the whirlwind of emotions. We need to help. We need to be here for them, she whispered. It was true. What good were grand plans if they didn't extend into these emergencies, if they didn't provide support in real time? In this moment, all her ambitions materialized into a singular truth. Connection was everything. As the hours dragged on, Emily moved through the crowd, offering solace to those who anxiously waited for news. A mother wept for her child, clutching a ragged teddy bear, Teens comforted one another, whispering in desperate tones. Then surprisingly she spotted her father, Robert, a figure emerging from the throng of chaos. He no longer looked like the steely CEO. Instead he carried a weight fear, something that Emily rarely saw. "Where have you been?" Emily confronted him, her voice cutting through the noise. "I was making phone calls, gathering resources." He hesitated, looking around. "We need to prepare. If they're injured, we'll need assistance, financial support, food for the families." Emily watched him. This was the man she had always wanted to connect with, the one who could see beyond the spreadsheets and figures. But the hesitation in his voice, the overwhelming reality in his eyes told her he was grappling with something much larger than she expected. "I know this isn't how you imagined our Sunday," he said, his tone softer, as if acknowledging the bond that had always felt tenuous. "This isn't about me, Dad. This is a chance for us to truly make a difference together. We have to rally our community." The intensity of the moment surged between them. Emily's determination was fierce, almost tangible, pushing her father to realize the weight of his influence in times of crisis. Before he could respond, a loud gasp cut through the crowd as a stretcher emerged from the wreckage, followed by a string of rushed paramedics. Emily's heart dropped again, the hope dulled momentarily by fear. "Let us go, we need to do something," she urged him, taking a step forward. "Okay," Robert replied, his eyes now fierce. "Let us show them what we can do." As they moved, a new resolve stirred within Emily. She wasn't just battling her father's vision anymore. She was fighting for her community, for their stories, their lives. Did this disaster hold a hidden truth about their potential? Would it ignite a fire that transformed everything they both believed? She didn't know, but one thing was clear. They would rise together. With the sirens fading into the distance, the community's cries echoing all around, hope became a tangible force between them. What would happen next? Would this accident galvanize their efforts or tear apart their fragile connection? Emily could barely breathe as her feet moved instinctively toward the heart of the chaos. The muffled cries, the sirens blaring, and the frantic movement of paramedics created a dizzying atmosphere. She and Robert found themselves caught in a whirlwind of emotion and urgency, their plans to connect suddenly overshadowed by desperation. "Where do we start?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. Robert paused, taking a deep breath. "We need to set up a command center right here. I can handle communications, reach out to donors," and yet, even as he spoke, Emily could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. This was new territory for him. A world where spreadsheets couldn't quantify the human cost unfolding before them. "Let us focus on the families first," Emily interrupted, her own determination propelling her forward. "What they need right now is comfort. We can gather supplies and I'll talk to the others." Robert glanced around, as if searching for direction amidst the chaos. It was a rare moment of vulnerability. "Okay, you're right. Let us do this together. Just tell me what you need from me." With renewed purpose, Emily wasted no time. She began gathering volunteers from the crowd, directing them to offer blankets and water. Within moments, others joined her, people she recognized from the neighborhood, faces she had seen at the community center, and even those who once kept to themselves. "Come on, everyone. We need to help," Emily called out, her voice rising above the noise. An older woman stepped forward, her hands trembling. "I have some bottled water in my car." "Great. Please get it," Emily urged her, grateful for every moment of action, every thread of connection being spun between them. Meanwhile, she kept stealing glances at her father, who was busily on the phone, his brow furrowed. It was unusual to see him so engaged in a personal situation. Normally, he preferred boardroom discussions over community gatherings. But here he was embracing the moment, driven by the urgency to help. "Robert, over here," Emily called out, waving him over as she directed a group to stack the blankets in a designated area. "We need a place for families to gather. Can you manage that?" "Absolutely," he replied, a spark of newfound resolve igniting in his voice. As they worked, the tension from earlier ebbed, replaced by a rhythm of collective effort. Emily felt a rush of warmth wash over her. In moments of crisis, humanity shone brightest. The true essence of their community was unfolding before her eyes, and it was breathtaking. But then, just as the first glimmers of hope settled, a paramedic exited the center, fatigue etched into her features. She held a clipboard, and the anxious hush that fell over the crowd was palpable. They are still working on a few individuals inside. We don't have any updates yet, but please prepare yourselves. We are at the mercy of this situation, she announced, and the air thickened with apprehension. Emily's heart raced again. The reality seeped in. This wasn't just about providing comfort anymore. It was about bracing for the worst. She felt the gravity of each second passing. She turned to her father and found him staring into the distance, lost in thought. Dad, we can't assume the worst for everyone. We have to keep hope alive, she said gently, her own voice wavering. His eyes focused on her. A glimmer of understanding illuminated his features. I know. It's just he shook his head. I've never faced anything like this before. Neither have I, she replied, surprising herself with the strength in her voice. But we're not alone. This community is counting on us and we can't back down now. With each painful minute, the emotional toll weighed heavy on them. But as dread settled in Emily's chest, a fire ignited within. She realized that together they were forging a new path. Their connection was beginning to redefine itself, vibrant and real amidst the heartbreak. Would they find a way to not only support their community, but also heal their own fractured relationship? The moment felt pivotal, ripe with the potential for change. As another stretcher emerged, this time with no silent gasps, just anxious murmurs, Emily's heart pounded even harder. What awaited them? And would they be ready to face the truth together? The hush that fell over the crowd seemed contagious. Emily glanced at Robert, who was squinting towards the entrance of the facility as if willing some good news to emerge. She felt a knot tightening in her stomach. The anticipation was agonizing, each moment stretching out longer than the last. Do you think they're taking longer than usual? Robert asked quietly, his voice barely able to mask his concern. I don't know, Emily admitted, trying to keep her own fear at bay. But we have to stay strong. If we lose hope, what does that say to everyone else? Across the lot, she saw her father pacing, his phone momentarily forgotten as he engaged with a small group of families. He was listening intently, offering them a solid presence seasoned with quiet assurance. Emily admired him in that moment. This man who generally kept people at arm's length had stepped deeply into their lives, anchored by a commitment she hadn't seen before. We'll need to prepare them for any news, Robert said, looking around at the assemblage of anxious faces, their eyes glued to the entrance. We should get the volunteers together and explain the situation. Good idea, Emily nodded, taking charge once again. Let South gather everyone close and provide clarity. As they called for attention, the previously scattered volunteers converged around her, eager, searching eyes fixed on her face. Emily took a deep breath, trying to project the strength she wanted them to find within themselves. Everyone, thank you for being here. Your kindness is what's giving hope right now. A ripple of murmurs followed her words and she pressed on. Things are moving slowly inside. We have to brace ourselves. But no matter what, we're a community. We can take care of each other. The volunteers nodded, some wiping quick tears, the vulnerability rising like the tension in the air. Yet, beneath the anxiety, the warmth of solidarity began to glow. Together they were building a barricade of strength. Suddenly a frantic cry broke through the murmurs. Emily. She turned to see a young girl, maybe 10, sprinting toward her, her face streaked with tears. My brother, he's in there. The girl's words rolled out in a desperate rush. Emily knelt down to match the child's gaze. What's your name? Lucy. The girl's breath was shaky. Lucy, I promise you they're doing everything they can to help him. Emily glanced toward Robert, who'd gone still, watching their interaction closely. You've done such a great job bringing people together. Can you help me find more water for everyone while we wait? Lucy nodded, her fear uniting with a small flicker of strength at the thought of helping others. As they turned to walk away, Emily glanced over her shoulder. Her father met her gaze, and in that moment, they both shared a silent understanding. He was proud of her, no doubt about it. It was as if their connection had grown brighter, fueled by this shared crisis. But just then the paramedic returned, the clipboard clutched tightly to her chest, her eyes scanning the crowd with an urgency that quieted the murmurs once more. Please, everyone, she began, her voice steady yet brokering the weight of the moment. I need everyone's attention. Emily's heartbeat quickened. She turned to Robert, who looked ashen. In the pit of her stomach she felt something shift, a foreboding sense that the moment they all dreaded was upon them. The truth they had been resisting was ready to reveal itself. "What is she going to say?" Robert whispered, his anxiety weaving through the air like smoke. "I don't know," Emily replied, her own trepidation spilling into her voice. "But we'll get through this. Together." Before the paramedic could speak again, the air filled with murmured prayers and half-hearted attempts at optimism surrounding them, an invisible barrier of fear encasing their small collective. Would the news tear apart the fragile bonds they had begun to mend, or would it solidify their resolve? Each moment spun out, thick with uncertainty, and as Emily steeled herself, she couldn't shake the feeling that this would be the defining moment both for them and the community they had sought to protect. What truth lay ahead, on that precipice of hope and despair? The paramedic paused, her eyes sweeping the anxious faces in front of her. Emily felt as if the world had gone still, every breath waiting for that one sentence to unravel the collective hope they'd been clutching. She held onto Lucy's small hand, squeezing it tighter, hoping to channel some strength into the girl. A thin veneer of calm settled over them. It was both comforting and terrifying. Finally, the paramedic began, her voice steady, but the words hung thick in the air, heavy with dread. "I know this is incredibly difficult for everyone here. I wish I could share better news, but it's been complicated inside." Emily's heart sank. She glanced at Robert, whose face had turned pale. "Complications?" he whispered, as if trying to solve a riddle that had no answer. The paramedic continued, "We're working tirelessly, but I need you to understand that we may have to wait a little longer for answers. The situation is still very active." The word wait echoed through the crowd like a bitter pill to swallow. Fear danced in the eyes around her, growing into murmurs of uncertainty and panic. Emily felt every anxious heartbeat around her, their collective dread amplifying her own. "Active?" Lucy's voice trembled, pulling Emily's attention back to her. "Does that mean my brother?" "Lucy, we need to be brave," Emily urged, her own voice tightening. "Braver than ever." But bravery felt thin in the face of such uncertainty. She could see Lucy's little shoulders starting to shake, the tears spilling down her cheeks. It broke Emily's heart to feel so powerless at such a pivotal moment. "We could," Robert started, only to fall silent, taking a step back, overwhelmed. Emily turned back to the paramedic, a new sense of determination flooding her. "We can help." She raised her voice, cutting through the suffocating silence. "Let us assist you. We can organize the crowd, manage the information. There's strength in numbers. Together we can create support, offer comfort." The paramedic looked at her, her expression softening. "That would be incredibly helpful," she said. "I'll need a few volunteers to assist. It's chaotic inside." Without hesitation, Robert stepped forward, drawing in a shaky breath. "I'll stay with you. Whatever is needed, let us help where we can." Others began to step in line, families supporting each other, driven by Emily's rallying spirit. Emily couldn't believe how quickly they transformed, shifting from passive waiting to active support. "Thank you," the paramedic said, a hint of relief washing over her face. "This is more than I could have hoped for. Let us keep lines of communication open. I'll share information as soon as I have it." As the crowd began to mobilize, Emily felt a sense of empowerment surging through her. They became a team, a group fueled by shared fate. Yet beneath the surface, a shadow of doubt still lingered within her. What news would eventually come? Then, with a sharp gasp, Lucy pulled at Emily's arm. "Can I help too? I want to know if my brother is okay." "Yes, Lucy. You're so brave." Emily knelt again, setting her gaze at the level of the girls. "Let us do this together." They moved to where families were gathering, Emily guiding, listening, and absorbing their fears. It was a delicate balance of maintaining her own strength while desperately wanting to be perfect for those around her. Hours seemed to bleed into each other. Emily noticed the sun beginning to set, the light changing, casting long shadows over the crowd. A weird mix of dread and urgency filled the growing darkness. Just as she felt a flicker of hope that their resolve was holding, a voice broke through the crowd again. "Emily!" She turned sharply to see her father striding purposefully towards her, his expression hard and unyielding. "We need to talk," he said, urgency gripping his tone. "What is it?" Emily felt her heart racing. Was there more news? It's about the situation inside. There's something you need to know, something I should have told you a long time ago. Panic surged through Emily. What could possibly reveal itself now at this moment? As the weight of his words settled between them, an even heavier question loomed. Would this hidden truth change everything she thought she knew? Emily's heart raced, each beat echoing louder than the last. She needed answers but felt the ground beneath her slip away. Her father, a figure of authority and stoicism, now seemed almost fragile, the weight of his own fears palpable. Dad, what do you mean? She pressed, her voice barely above a whisper, desperation creeping into her tone. He ran a hand over his face, the familiar gesture signaling the heaviness of his thoughts. It's about your brother, Emily. There's something you don't know, a piece of our past that relates to all of this. Lucy's eyes darted between Emily and her father, confusion and fear mixing in her expression. What do you mean? My brother, he's in trouble? The air thickened around them, and Emily sensed the growing tension in the crowd, just beyond their small pocket of concern. She squeezed Lucy's hand tighter, willing both of them to hold it together. Not in the way you think, her father continued, his eyes darting around them as if half expecting someone to overhear. It's complicated, but it's important. You need to understand that there are connections I have to the situation. Connections? Emily's mind raced. What connections? Is someone in there responsible for what is happening to him? He shook his head slowly, almost mournfully. No, Emily. That's not it. But everything we're facing now, the chaos, the darkness, it ties back to choices I've made, decisions that were never meant to come back and haunt us. Emily felt a surge of anger rise within her, battling against the rising tide of confusion. You're telling me now? When we're in the middle of this? I should have told you long ago, he admitted, his voice breaking slightly. But I was trying to protect you, protect us. Lucy, unable to contain herself any longer, tugged on Emily's arm. What is happening? Can we go find him? Emily knelt so that her eyes were level with Lucy's. I promise we'll find him. Just stay with me. The sincerity in her voice felt like a lifeline both for Lucy and for herself. She could feel the weight of her father's revelations pressing down. But their immediate focus was on the search for the truth regarding Lucy's brother. As the crowd around them shifted, the paramedic returned, tension radiating from her face. We have an update, she began. But the abruptness of it felt like a jolt. Please give us the news, Emily urged, her heart in her throat. It's still chaotic in there, but doctors are doing everything they can, the paramedic said. We need some volunteers to help assist in the information queue. It's a lot to manage and every set of hands helps. Emily turned back to her father, emotions swirling within her. Are you coming with us? If there's something you know, now's the time. He began, but the tremor in his voice told her everything she needed to know. Lucy, she knelt down. Let us go help figure this out. Okay? Okay, but we have to find my brother first. Yes. We will find him, she reassured Lucy, locking eyes with her father one last time, pleading with him to join. But he stayed silent, as if stuck in the shadows of his own past. With renewed determination, Emily and Lucy stepped forward into the fray. The crowd was still thick, people caught in their own webs of uncertainty. Every face told a story, every heart was a vessel of fear and hope mixed together. Yet, as they approached the central area where the paramedics were coordinating, another wave of whispered conversations flared up. A man, face drawn and haunted, stepped into view shouting, "They're hiding something from us." Emily froze. Who was he? What did he know? Her breath caught as she realized this was far from over. What other truths lay in wait, buried beneath layers of fear? In that moment, she felt the fabric of their lives shifting once more, unraveling threads she'd never even known existed. As the question hung heavily in the air, Emily clenched her fists, ready to face whatever came next. She knew they had to uncover the truth, no matter how deep or dark. Lucy, stay close, she whispered as the crowd surged, drawing them deeper into the chaos. What was about to unfold? What hidden connections would change everything? Emily's mind was racing as she scanned the crowd. The man's words echoed in her ears, but she couldn't lose sight of Lucy, who was tugging nervously at her sleeve. What do you think he meant? Lucy whispered, eyes wide with fear. I don't know, but we can't let ourselves get distracted, Emily replied, forcing her own panic down. They needed focus now more than ever. Just ahead, groups of people were shifting, forming an anxious line at the makeshift information desk. Emily's instincts kicked in. She pushed forward, leading Lucy with her. Fear was contagious here, but so was hope. As they finally reached the front of the line, a younger paramedic met their eyes. "Thank you for volunteering," he said with a weary smile, but the sadness behind his eyes was unmistakable. "We need you to direct families to the right areas. It'll ease the chaos a little." Emily nodded, swallowing her anxiety. "We can do that." "Great. Just stay calm and keep your voices steady," he urged. With that, he moved to help another set of families. Out among the crowd, Emily spotted her father standing off to the side, a portrait of worry and despair. He looked out of place, lost among the families desperately seeking news of their loved ones. She wanted to call out to him, but a deeper urgency tied her feet to the ground. "Lucy, stick close," she said again as she made the rounds, guiding frantic parents to the correct area. Each grateful smile offered relief, but also deepened the knot of worry in her stomach. Where was Lucy's brother? After a few minutes, a voice broke through her concentration. "Excuse me," a middle-aged woman exclaimed, desperation etched into her features. "My son was just brought in. He was hurt. I need to know where I can find him." Emily held the woman's gaze. "I'm so sorry. Let me help you. What's your son's name?" The woman's tremors betrayed her calm exterior. "Ryan. He's 14. Please, I'm so scared." Just then another figure joined the crowd. It was the man from moments earlier, the one with the haunted face. He was staring intently at Emily, as if sensing something deep-rooted. Something in his expression flickered with recognition. "You," he shouted suddenly, causing heads to turn. "You've got to listen." Emily's heart raced even faster. "What do you know?" The man closed the distance, urgency now breathing life into his words. "The truth about your brother, the truth about mine, this all ties back to something bigger." "They're scared to reveal it bigger?" Emily interjected, heart pounding. What could be bigger than this? Before he could answer, a sharp gasp emerged from the gathering crowd. A paramedic, clearly shaken, rushed towards them. "We need everyone's attention, please." Emily's stomach dropped. Was it more bad news? But the paramedic continued. "We've received information on the situation inside. There were multiple patients and we still can't locate others. We're looking for a person who may have important information." Emily turned to Lucy, who squeezed her hand tightly, sensing the sudden tension. The man stepped forward again, now in full view of the entire crowd. "I know who you're looking for." His voice rose above the murmurs. "And I can help if you're willing to hear the truth." Emily exchanged glances with Lucy, who was wide-eyed, filled with fear and a hint of hope. "What truth?" she asked, feeling every single heart in the crowd grasping for answers just as much as her own. As she awaited clarification, a part of her was already bracing for the weight of what was about to be uncovered. The unknown loomed ahead, unyielding and daunting. What reality were they about to confront? What connections would alter their lives forever? The man's gaze bore into Emily, as if he could see right through her. "Your brother, he was involved," he said, voice trembling but resolute. "And it wasn't just an accident." An electric hush fell over the crowd, every ear straining to catch more of the unfolding story. Emily's heart thudded against her ribcage. "What do you mean? What did he look?" the man interrupted, urgency rising. "My name is Nathan. There's been more happening than just what you see. I know your brother, and I know they're trying to protect something or someone." Lucy's grip tightened on Emily's hand, her eyes darting between Nathan and Emily. "What does he mean, Em? What's he talking about?" Emily squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, trying to suppress the growing fear. "I don't know," she whispered, half to herself. "But we need to find out." Nathan stepped closer, lowering his voice but still speaking for all to hear. "I was there, Emily. The moment before it all went wrong. Your brother's involvement, it was meant to be a simple task. But things spiraled out of control. I can show you where to find the answers." Emily's mind raced. She felt the weight of her brother's absence pressing down on her. A void of worry and dread mixed with flickers of determination. She knew she had to trust her instinct, but it felt like stepping into an abyss. "Tell me where," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Please just tell me where to go." Nathan hesitated, glancing around as if weighing his options. "There's an old warehouse at the edge of town, one they've been using for other purposes. I think your brother might be there. We can't wait much longer." Emily hesitated, looking back towards the crowd. The worried faces swirled around her, filled with fear and sorrow, but her priority was clear. She had to find her brother. "Lucy," she said, turning to her friend, "I need you to stay here. Help families until we get back." Lucy's face fell, her fear plainly etched across her features. "But what if?" "Trust me," Emily insisted. "I'll be safe. I promise we'll be back in no time." With one last, reluctant nod, Lucy stepped back, the two girls exchanging a fear-fueled glance before Emily turned to Nathan. "Let us go," she said firmly. Nathan led the way, moving through the throngs of worried faces, eyes darting toward the exits that seemed to stretch infinitely. The crowd, once an obstacle, now felt like a wave pushing them towards the unknown, the echo of the unknown hanging thick in the air. As they jogged toward the warehouse, adrenaline surged through Emily. Each footfall echoed in her mind. She was chasing more than just her brother. She was pursuing the truth, no matter how dark it might lead her. They finally reached the warehouse, a looming shadow on the horizon. It looked abandoned, its exterior worn and unwelcoming. But inside lay the answer she desperately needed. Emily took a deep breath, a mixture of fear and resolve coursing through her body. She was at the precipice of something huge, maybe even life-changing. "What's inside?" she asked Nathan, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "Answers," he replied simply, but the weight of the word hung heavy in the air, portending that the answers could tear her world apart. As they approached the door, uncertainty gripped her. What if she found more than just the truth about her brother? The moment was coming, the truth lingering in the shadows, and Emily felt it beckoning her forward. What would she discover inside? Would it strengthen her resolve or shatter all hope she had left? Pushing open the heavy door of the warehouse, Emily felt a chill run down her spine. The air was thick, stale, cloaked in secrets waiting to be unearthed. She and Nathan entered, their footsteps echoing starkly in the empty vastness. Shadows darted along the worn concrete floor, dancing to the rhythm of their anxiety. "Over here," Nathan whispered, leading Emily toward a dimly lit corner. Faint outlines of old machinery loomed, reminiscent of a once bustling workspace abandoned in haste. Each broken window held stories, but Emily was fixated on the truth that lay ahead. A small trapdoor caught her eye, barely visible among the debris. "What's down there?" she asked, instinctively lowering her voice. Nathan hesitated, as if weighing the gravity of the answer. "Possibly everything," he replied, fear flickering in his gaze. "This warehouse, it was a front. Your brother got caught up in something deeper. It involves, well, things you might not believe." With a deep breath, Emily knelt next to the trapdoor, her heart racing. "We have to go, Nathan. I need to know." Her voice was steady, but inside uncertainty clawed at her resolve. Nathan nodded, reluctantly grabbing the handle. They pulled it open to reveal a dark stairway that spiraled into the unknown. Musty air rushed out, carrying a scent of dirt and old metal. Here, gravity pulled her downward, urgency drowned by the potential for understanding the chaos outside. "Let us go," Nathan said, bravely stepping into the shadow, and Emily followed, each step a testament to her courage. The stairs creaked beneath them, but she pushed on, driven by a need more profound than just family. At the bottom, they emerged into a dimly lit room cluttered with crates and remnants of machinery. Old markings on the wall hinted at a life once lived here, whispers of purpose gone awry. Then they heard it, muffled voices filtering through the heavy air. Emily's breath caught in her throat. "What's happening?" she whispered, eyes darting around to find the source. "Stay quiet," Nathan cautioned, but fear danced in Emily's veins. They leaned closer, straining to hear. The words were indistinct at first, but clarity began to carve its way through the murkiness. "He can't take the fall alone, you need to cover it up," a voice hissed. Emily's heart dropped. Who were they discussing? "Another shipment comes in tomorrow. If we don't silence him, this whole operation collapses," came another voice, colder than steel. Silencing someone? Emily's thoughts raced. This couldn't be about her brother. It had to be a misunderstanding. But deep down she could sense it was all too real. "There's more at stake here than your brother," Nathan whispered. The tone in his voice was urgent, desperate. Suddenly a loud crash echoed from nearby. The figures they had been eavesdropping on turned sharply, their voices rising in alarm. Emily's heart raced. Time was running out. "We have to go," she said, turning back toward the stairs. "Wait." Nathan halted her. "We need to find your brother. If they're talking about him, we can't leave without him." "Can you hear them?" Emily asked, desperation seeping into her voice. "What if they find us?" "We'll find out. We need to be smart." They crouched lower, eyes darting toward the closed door at the far end of the room. Taking a deep breath, Emily moved toward it, Nathan close behind, their combined courage wrapping around them. Pushing the door slightly ajar, they peered inside. The sight made Emily freeze. There, huddled in a corner, was her brother, bound, shaken and pale but alive. "Jack," she hissed, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm here. We're getting you out now." But her brother's eyes widened with fear. "No, they'll hear you." Before she could respond, the voices outside grew louder, closing in on them, full of hostile urgency. Emily's chest tightened as shadows crossed the threshold of the doorway. She and Nathan quickly backed away, their instincts screaming at them to hide. "What are we going to do?" she whispered fiercely, panic twisting in her gut. "Stay quiet. They want to find us." "Not yet," Nathan replied, breathing as quietly as possible. The door creaked open. They could see two men enter the room, their faces etched with unyielding determination, each step brimming with authority. "Where's the cargo? You know what happens if you don't deliver," one growled menacingly. "I'll have it by morning." Jack squirmed against his bindings, the fear palpable in his voice. Emily's heart sank further. They were ensnared in a terrible web, one that extended far beyond her family. This was a crisis that could engulf them all. "Stay focused," Nathan urged, his hand clenching on her wrist. "When I give the signal, we have to make a run for it." Emily could barely breathe as they waited in the shadows, her thoughts spinning wildly. The truth was darker than she had anticipated, a reality where her brother's insistence on getting ahead had dragged him into an abyss of danger. "Let us go," Nathan suddenly whispered. They darted past the door, trying to make it to Jack without being seen. As they scurried closer, a shout rang out, a voice filled with panic and rage. "Hey! Stop!" The rush of adrenaline fueled them, feet pounding on the cold concrete as they navigated back toward the open trapdoor. Jack's eyes met hers, wide and fearful. "Emily!" he yelled, urgency spilling from his lips. "Get out of here!" But in that moment, Emily felt something snap inside. She had fought for connection. She couldn't leave him behind. "We want to abandon you, Jack." Determination surged within her, heavy but vital. With each stride they surged forward together, drawing closer to freedom, but danger loomed behind them. Would they break free from the binds of secrecy, or be caught in the crossfire of a truth far more harrowing than anticipated? As they approached the exit, she felt the weight of their combined resolve. The shadows stretching toward them gave way to light, a glimmer of hope with every step they took. But with every ounce of newfound strength, she realized they were still fighting to break free. Would this story end in triumph? Or would the truths unveiled lead to a darker path? As the door swung wide, Emily felt the world waiting, the air crackling with possibilities. They had to rise together or face the crushing weight of their truths apart. Whatever lay ahead, Emily knew one thing for certain. They would face it as a family, united by their quest for hope, determined to overcome the darkness surrounding them. As they burst into the light, Emily shouted louder than she ever had before, "We're not done fighting yet." In that moment, the world breathed anew, full of possibilities waiting to be explored. You need to subscribe now to my channel to stay updated on the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support content that matters. Keep the love flowing. Comment your thoughts and feelings about how Emily's journey wraps up. I want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, and remind them to never give up. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second. Truth is out there, and together we can spread it far and wide.